I am excited for everyone who is looking to buy an electric car in 2019 because there will be so many more choices. For Tesla now, Model 3 is more available, especially here in the United States, but also many others like Kia and Hyundai and Audi and Jaguar and Porsche at some point. All of these manufacturers are going to have a pretty legitimate electric cars out there on the market with over 200-mile range or around that. However, the car itself may not be the only limiting factor, or like the budget or whatever. It's actually going to be about something else. Let me tell you about something that you really think hard before buying an electric car in 2019. All of that is coming up next. Taking over the world, electrifying the world, E4 Electric. Welcome to E4 Electric, your number one source of unbiased electric car news. I'm just realizing I'm wearing exactly the same picture as a shirt as I was wearing on that picture like a year ago when I took it. I love this shirt. Anyway, so yeah, and by the way, if this is your first time here, I do have other shirts, first of all, but secondly, don't forget to click on the subscribe button so you don't miss anything moving forward. All right, let's talk about electric cars in 2019 now. It is not just going to be about the price or the car or the range. What really is going to be a big part of your decision is how and where you're going to charge. Now, the reason I don't take any cars under 150-mile range and really under 200-mile range, that's seriously because it's just impractical on a day-to-day basis. Because people do, especially in cold conditions when the battery capacity is really increased by about 30%, even with Teslas, really need about 100 of like solid, definite range every day. And that's not the case with some of the cars like BMW i3. So I'm not even talking about them. But all of these cars that I named earlier, they are going to have that range, and you got to figure out where you're going to charge. Now, ideally, and really, if you can accomplish this, maybe it's just not time for you to buy an electric car. You have to charge it at home. You have to have a charging solution at home. And I know a lot of you live in apartment complexes where it's either impossible or even if it's too expensive because it's going to be at your expense, obviously. Then maybe you have to wait because that's where you really should charge your car. If you have that, figured out, then you really should be okay like 99% of the time. The only time that you need to worry about charging somewhere else, if you're taking a road trip, and if you're taking a road trip in your electric car, most of the times people, have an electric car for daily, stuff, and then they have either a plug-in hybrid or an all gas car as their family car or their second car, and or they rent one because, trips are kind of tough on the exterior of the car and even, interior and stuff like that. So that's how a lot of people take a long distance trips. Now, that should be a pretty good solution for most of the people. But if you do have to travel, relatively regularly, whatever that means for you, and you don't have a gas or plug-in hybrid car, and you just want to rely fully on your electric car, then you only have two different choices. And so let me tell you what they are, because this is important. Again, if you don't have a gas car, which is still pretty rare, but if you're just going to have an electric car, you have only two choices. And before that, I just want to mention that this show and this channel is sponsored by Avanex, the aftermarket accessories for Teslas. They do have a supercharging network, and there's a discount code in the description of this video. This way you can save yourselves a few bucks beyond the holiday shopping season that's ending pretty much this week. All right. Now, as you know, I just did a report from one of the first Electrify America stations here in California that can charge up to 350 kilowatt, which is insane. There's not even a car that can take that, as much electricity. But and you can see that in my library. And Electrify America is fast charging network that's being built here in the United States and Canada over the next couple of years. But they've started. In Europe, you guys have Ionity, which is a little bit ahead of Electrify America, and it's also co-owned by a few companies like Volkswagen Group, Mercedes-Benz, a parent company, Daimler, BMW, and a few others, where Electrify America just solely owned by Volkswagen Group, though they are pretty much mandated to have this because it's a part of the partnership from the Dieselgate days. All right, so here's what I've noticed. These stations, as you can see, especially in the United States, they are only for fast charging using CCS connectors. There are a couple of others like CHAdeMO, but they're like 50 kilowatts, which are not fast charging at all. When you buy a new car and you're going to travel long distance, and it's not a Tesla, if it's Tesla, you're done, right? I mean, if it's a Tesla, the supercharging network is pretty good. If you're willing to basically spend about 30 minutes of charging per about 2 hours of driving, which I am not, but a lot of people are, then you're okay. Then you're fine. And by the way, the other fast charging networks are not going to be that much faster. I mean, the chargers are, but the cars are still not. So the next one is going to be e-tron and the Porsche Taycan. They'll be able to charge faster than Teslas, but still not that much faster to compare it to, like gas cars, how fast gas cars refuel. So if you have a Tesla and if you're okay with that, then you're good. Now, if you have something like an Audi e-tron or a Nissan Leaf, now Nissan Leaf, you got to be a little bit more careful because you cannot charge it from CCS. And this is the car that you might just have to just assume that you will only be able to charge at home and maybe at work. But even, I always tell people, just because you have a charging at, you're able to charge an office at your office doesn't mean anything, because you can change your jobs or change campuses or buildings on locations. So, and all of a sudden it's gone. And then what are you going to do with your remaining 2 years on your lease on your electric car? So I'll be very careful with that. But, Volkswagen Group and the this is Audi e-tron GT actually. I was actually going to bring up the footage of Audi e-tron, but enjoy because this car is also coming. So yeah, you really need to make sure that the network that's in your area, think about the trips you're going to be taking, right? If you're in California, most likely it's going to be Northern California to Southern California, right? See what's on, obviously 101 and Highway 5. I'm just talking California here, but it doesn't matter where you live. Figure out where these charging stations are going to be. And I don't mean just right now, just see what networks are building out and where, a lot of times they say which locations are coming up, and figure out if your car is actually going to be able to charge. Because if it's a Nissan Leaf and you come to the Electrify America station, well, doesn't really matter because you can't connect and charge your car. So make sure that the connector for fast charging in your car is something that is compatible with fast charging, but compatible with the network that you're going to be using in the most likely common ways. That's how you're going to travel. However, and this is where I stand on this, guys, I prefer, so I have a daily all-electric car, Tesla Model S, for myself. And then when I travel, I do end up using a little bit of gas because I have a Chevy Volt, which is a plug-in hybrid. You run out of the electric car range about 50 miles in, and then you essentially have to use a little bit of gas. Very little, I gotta tell you, like I spend a few bucks a lot of times on my trips, but that's just, it is what it is, because we're all busy. Not everybody can sacrifice their time or time with family or just simply time on the road to be able to be all electric. I think this is still a good and decent solution for people like myself who really just don't have that much time or patience sometimes. Let me know what you are going to be getting. Let me know what your concerns are. Maybe I'll make another video depending on what your concerns are. And I'm also planning on making a video which cars are going to have CCS plug. So when you're here in the United States and Electrify America is actually grows, you will actually be able to make the right decision about your purchase ahead of time. Anyway, looking forward to your comments. Other than that, see you guys next time. And remember to stay charged.